Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Queer There Everywhere. Today on my sofa, I have the iconic Lliana Bird. She is a writer, a filmmaker, a broadcaster, and she's one of my besties. And she's my very favorite ally. You've done so many wonderful things.
Why, thank you.
And I wanted to...
Nothing to say.
That's the truth. You have. You're so kind. You're so creative, so intelligent. Every
Stop. Keep going. Keep going.
No, it's the truth. I want everyone to know, everything you put out in the world is with such intention and such kindness. You're an absolute rock star, and I love you so much. Thank you for being here.
It is my absolute pleasure.
And she wrote a book called Baboo the Unusual Bee. It's done very well, and it's was based on my story growing up.
You were my muse. That's
You
true.
hear that? A muse.
She's a muse.
She's a muse.
She's amusing.
Yes. Talk to us about Baboo.
So, well, as you know, I think firstly I should talk about why you became my muse. I was living in a flat many years ago, and I had a flatmate, and you were dating him.
I was.
And we became friends that way, and we spent a lot of time, all of us, hanging out together and being a little bit naughty, shall we say, and having some wonderful, so a lot of fun,
So fun.
a lot of fun. And through that time, we became close friends, and you were telling me a lot about your life story and your background. And in particular, something that really struck me was you telling me about how hard it was to grow up in an area of the world where there weren't many people like you, and where you were kind of made to feel that the things that made you different from other people around you in that particular area meant that there was something wrong with you, and they made you feel like you were somehow lesser. Now, as we know,
So you better not make me cry, darling. I've got to do another interview after this. I
I'm
love you.
sorry, and I feel like I'm telling your story. This is your story,
No.
but it really struck me, and it really hit me hard. And what I thought was so special about that experience in your life, though, was that through that hardship, you actually managed to take all those things, and instead of hiding them and saying, oh, there's something wrong with me and I have to hide things, you made them your superpower. And look at you now, like Glitzy Von Jagger, drag star extraordinaire, the most glamorous, gorgeous, incredible, talented person I know. And I just thought, how wonderful that someone who as a child was made to feel something wrong with us and their differences took them and made them their superpower. And I wanted other little children who feel the same way, maybe for different reasons, maybe for the similar reasons, or maybe something completely different, that something that makes them feel othered can end up being their strength, can end up being their superpower. And when you're little, of course, you feel like you just want to be like everyone else in some ways, because you don't want to put your head above the parapet, because it's scary, right? And kids can be unkind, and adults can be unkind, and especially when there's something different and you don't understand it, right? You know this. I don't need to tell you this. But what I wanted kids to take away from the book was a feeling of, you don't need to hide those things that make you different. You need to celebrate them, and they are your strengths, and they are your uniqueness and your power. So that's kind of why I wanted to tell my story. And so I turned you into a pink bee who likes to dance. And yeah, I had it in my head for a really long time that I wanted to write this story, and I had the character, and I knew the kind of story, and I wasn't really exactly sure what to do with it. And then I just had my second baby, and it was in lockdown, and me and my husband and our two little ones were stuck at home like everyone else, and just, there, kind of unable to leave the house. And I have your newborn, which was a particular challenging moment to have a newborn and not be able to really, go outside much. And I kind of was going a little bit crazy, if I'm being honest, thinking, do I just exist just to feed a baby? Basically, is that all I am? Have I lost my own brain? And I think as a kind of rebellion against my own feeling that I was nothing but a kind of walking, talking milk machine,
Yeah.
I decided to write it. So I just did it one day. I was breastfeeding my baby with one arm, just writing on the other arm, and the story of Baboo came out. So like you, Baboo loves to dance, and none of the other bees like to dance, and he's fabulous, and he loves pink, and he's just not the same as the other bees, and they make him feel shit about that, and he feels bullied, and he runs away, and through meeting somebody else who also is a little bit different, they realize that it's a superpower. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the story, and that's why I wrote it.
I mean,
Thank you for inspiring me.
it's such an honor to have someone create something that is that has been inspired by you. I feel very honored, and to do it in such I know you, so I know that you've done it in such a cool, finessed, beautiful way,
You.
and it's really, really special.
I feel like I owe you some royalties. So.
Your French are cooking enough, job.
And I have to say as well, actually, because with a picture book, which this is, it is a collaboration between the writer and the illustrator. And so I want to just give a little bit of love to Aisha Tengiz for her beautiful illustrations, because she has obviously created, she took my words and she created a whole world with them. So thank you, Aisha.
I will tag Aisha. She's amazing. Yeah, the pictures are so cool. They're amazing.
I love her style. I think she's fantastic, and she really captured that kind of colourful world
Yeah.
that you represent to me, and that I love as well, and that I feel was really necessary for the story of Baboo. Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful thing to be putting it out into the world for children to read and teach them about empathy and about, others. And we all feel othered in lots of different ways, I think.
Yeah, this has been really interesting because you've actually been really kind and done lots of drag story times around the UK with me. We've gone to lots of different places and met so many different kids. And what I found was, in a way, surprising, although looking back, it shouldn't have been surprising, was that so many kids and adults came and felt that the story spoke to them.
Yeah.
And it may have been for very different reasons to the one that I was initially writing and intending it to. Like, sometimes it might be to do with the color of your hair. Like, I remember there was an adult actually, who has ginger hair and felt that, they were othered and felt that the book spoke to them.
Yeah.
And there was someone else who's black and felt that they were othered in their environment because they were in a minority in their class, and they felt that it spoke to them, and they spoke to me about that. I even had a little boy come up with his dad saying, he's adopted and he's always felt different for that reason. But
Little boy, he was
so cute. And the dad was saying, he's always felt a little bit something different. Is there something wrong with him because he's not the same as the other kids, and this had helped him. So that has been magical and amazing, and unexpected. But actually, now looking about it, it really is about any difference that you feel. And so I love the fact that it speaks to different kids in different ways.
It's amazing to put art out into the world that moves people and helps people. What could be more special than that?
Yeah.
And you're taking it on tour?
Well, it's going to go on the stage. So
Yeah.
we hope it will go on tour. But obviously, at the moment, it's all in such a little nascent stage. It's really just being developed.
And you've made music.
Yeah. So the idea is it's going to go onto the stage. It'll start hopefully in next year, so 2026, in Little Angel Theatre.
Oh, I love that theatre.
And it's going to be for kids and music and puppetry and performance and dance and all the wonderful things. So it's going to be a real magic for the world.
Everybody loves puppet.
Yeah, it's all. And so it's a work in progress at the moment. I've written the script and working on the songs at the moment. It's got songs kind of developing, and it's been really fun. I've not done music before, and that's been really fun.
Yeah.
The kind of, I'd say, the cornerstone song of it, the kind of flagship song of it is called "It's Hard to Be Different," which changes at the end into "It's Great to Be Different." So that's going to be the kind of end of the story. But yeah, so we'll hopefully, let's see how it goes in the London show, and then hopefully it will transfer and tour, but TBC.
But you know music so well. You're an XFM DJ for years.
I did 16 years. I'm a record holder. I think I still hold the record as the longest female DJ on XFM. So I was there for 16 years in total. I think I was on air for 14 of those years. And so little record holder there. It became Radio X, of course.
Yes,
so
that's right.
Some people might be like, "What's XFM?" Unless they're old like me, and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I can."
Grown, darling.
Grown.
and gorgeous.
Sure.
Should we read the book?
Why not?
Would you like to hear it?
Let's do
Would
it.
you like a drag
Gather in, little ones.
Gather in, come closer. Drag queen story time. I will be reading the part of Baboo and Ignatius, and you're going to be reading
and random insects.
Okay.
And I'm going to be the narrator.
Yeah.
And the character of Lee,
which is based on
a little bit about myself. Lee.
In my head, it's us two.
It's us guys.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. So, Baboo the Unusual Bee. There was a young bee who lived in the hive, who liked to dance ballet and hip-hop and jive. The other bees thought him a rather strange fellow, because he had pink stripes instead of bright yellow. The bee named Baboo used to sit on his own. With no one to play with, he danced all alone. But one day, Baboo felt a bit more courageous and went up to talk to a big bee, Ignatius. He quietly whispered,
"Could I play with you? I'd love to be friends. My name is Baboo."
Ignatius laughed loudly, then answered with spite,
A pink bee that dances, it just isn't right. I'd never be friends with a bee who's so odd.
Then he flicked up his wing and gave Baboo a prod. Dejected and downcast, Baboo flew away to a garden nearby where he sat in dismay. He slumped by the stump of a juniper tree and cried as he thought of that cruel, thoughtless bee.
"I wish I was yellow, like all of the others. Why aren't I the same as my sisters and brothers?"
He looked up and saw that he'd been overheard. High up on a leaf sat a green ladybird.
"How come you're all green?"
Baboo shyly said.
"All of the ladybirds I've met are red."
The ladybird smiled as she flew to the tree. "Well, this is the first time I've met a pink bee." She held out her wing and said, "Lee is my name, and I guess being different is what makes us the same." Baboo started laughing.
"Oh my goodness, it's true. And I love your green wings. They really suit you."
"Well, I love your pink," said Lee with delight. "I think it looks happy and vibrant and bright." Baboo thanked her warmly, but then his face changed.
"All of the other bees say that I'm strange."
"It's hard being different," Lee said with a nod. "The ladybirds I know all think that I'm odd."
"Well,"
said Baboo,
"there's one thing I do whenever I'm feeling rejected or blue. If you think you can trust me, then hold out your wing and I'll show you a magical, wonderful thing."
The two friends held hands. As Baboo moved his feet, Lee watched him and slowly began to repeat. Then spinning and turning and laughing with glee, she shouted, "My goodness, this makes me feel free!" So they danced all night long by the light of the moon as the wind in the trees sang its beautiful tune. When all of a sudden, the tiny friends heard,
Just look, a pink bee with a green ladybird.
all of the insects had gathered to see the toe-tapping, shape-throwing Baboo and Lee.
"And I wish I was pink. It looks so unique."
Their dance is delightful, so fun and so chic. That green with that pink, what a sight to behold. A rock and roll rainbow, so bright and so bold. Minute.
And even the bees from Baboo's nearby hive had come to the garden to watch the pair jive. Ignatius crept forward and bent his head low. He too had been watching their colourful show.
I've made a mistake. I'm so sorry, Baboo. It's just that I wish I was special like you.
"But you are,"
said Baboo.
"We all have our quirks. Your stinger is curly, and that red really works. Your wings have a shimmer. You got extra spots. Your shell is bright blue, and you're covered in dots. I dance and they knit. You paint and she sings. And each of us looks different, and we like different things."
The creatures looked round, and they saw it was true. Each one was as special as Lee and Baboo. As they all danced together, Baboo said,
Besides, what matters the most is who we are inside.
So if ever you worry you don't look the same as Thingamajig or, oh, what's her name? Remember that whether you're pink, green, or blue, there's nothing more special than just being you. And there's lots of lovely bee facts at the end because we like a little bit of,
I love the bees.
bees.
Wait, can we read some?
Go ahead.
Bees really can dance. Their waggle dance tells other bees where the best food is.
Okay.
Bees leave smelly footprints so that other bees can tell if a flower has been visited. Their famous buzzing sound is made by bees, flapping their wings up to 230 times a second. And it takes 12 bees their entire lifetime to make 1 teaspoon of honey. So when you're having your honey, remember 12
That's
bees
true.
their entire life. So be mindful about that and be grateful when you have your teaspoon of honey. But it is important for us all to know that bees are in trouble. And thanks to humans, there are fewer bees every single year, and we need bees for our survival because they are clever little honey providers, and they also help to make 1 in every 3 things that we eat. 1 in every 3 things that we eat. So what you can do to help them is planting lots of flowers in your garden or your window pots. And bees love blue, purple, and yellow flowers like marigolds, lavender, bluebells, and sunflowers. Oh, I love all those. And make a bee bath because bees get thirsty. Make the bath by adding a tiny bit of water and some pebbles to a shallow bird bath or a bowl and pop it outside. And you can also make a bee hotel, maybe with a grown-up. And you can fill a wooden box with bamboo canes or get a grown-up to drill holes into a block of wood and leave it in a sunny spot for the bees.
Yeah. That's it.
Oh,
Hey.
so beautiful. Thank you for coming on and reading that.
Thank you for having me. I loved reading it.
Oh, now what we're going to talk about?
Wait, do you know one thing that occurred to me when I was saying this?
Yes.
It's like the responsibility I feel for. I'm not saying I'm telling your story. You have your own story. I was inspired, of course, and Baboo's story is Baboo's story, and your story is your story. But there is certainly a feeling of, responsibility to when you're inspired by someone to kind of do them a little bit of justice. And of course, your story goes much deeper than I could ever go. But I do hope I did it a little bit of justice because I feel like it's your story to tell, not mine. But yeah. Anyway, I hope it was.
To more than just this, with what I went through as a kid, and there was a lot of trauma at home, at school, on the streets. I was in foster care, children's home, blah, blah. Got myself out, Billy Elliot styly, and got, danced my way to London. And, but my thing has always been about mining that pain for beautiful things and creating art from it and reframing the shame and trying to do something with that. Because when you go through hard things, you learn depths of emotional depths, and I don't want anyone to ever feel like I felt. So, I try to do everything with intention. I try to, sometimes I fall the mark, but I try my best to be a decent person and create beautiful, kind things in the world. And it's just so very, very special to me that you have also used that to do so.
Well, listen, it's a tiny, tiny drop in an ocean. This is my channel. This is my little thing that I could do. And obviously there is a huge battle out there to try and stop children feeling like you did. And I think it's a mountain to climb, and everyone has a little role they can play in their own way. And we can all only do our little bit. And hope that we can nudge things a little bit in the right direction. I do think you were saying about hardship as well. I do think as well, going through any kind of hardship really gives you a sense of empathy towards other people. So not that makes it okay, but I do think that, you having gone through what you've gone through has made you the person who can now empathize with others in a different way. And I think that's really special too.
Me too. And it's right. And then, you know, I'm writing some great songs.
Yeah. Yeah, can't wait. You're so excited. Do you know there's a photo of you that I love? It's the one of you when you're a kid. I don't know how old you are. You tell me how old you are, but maybe about 9, maybe a little bit older. And you're on your bed and you're like legs akimbo in the air, and you're just surrounded in Spice Girl posters. And I
Well,
felt
I was about 14. But yeah.
amazing. Well, that also that kind of epitomized it for me, because there you were, and it's like, how many little boys in your class or in your area were listening to Spice Girls then? Probably none. But you were like, you know what? I'm not just having one Spice Girl poster up. I'm not hiding this. I am decorating. I am wallpapering my room in Spice
Yeah.
Girls. I'm owning this, and that is very you. And I love that. And I think that's what it's all about. Like you said, owning it, celebrating it, and just saying, this is me, and you better love it because I love it.
It was that bedroom I put my entire audition package together myself for Italia Conti. And I only knew about Conti's because I used to get Smash Hits magazine for all my favorite pop stars, and I was obsessed with Louise at the
Smash
time.
Hits magazine.
And I wanted to be Louise. I saw the naked video and I was like, I can do that, and I'm doing it. And
I sense a cover, guys.
and she said she went to Italia Conti, so I got the yellow pages out. And I was like, I was like, I want to go to that there Italia Conti. Will you send me a brochure? And they sent me along, filled it all in, took myself down on the megabus at 16 years old and in London on my own. But in that Spice Girls bedroom, I put the entire thing together, like my ballet routine, my tap routine, my 2 acting pieces.
Wait, how were you learning ballet and tap? Were you going to classes, or were you kind of self-teaching?
No, so I went to classes, but I did a paper round to pay for them, and I then take myself like an hour on the bus there, an hour on the bus back.
Sorry, can we just have a moment for you doing a paper round? And I really want to imagine like a mini you in your full glitzy glam, like.
Oh.
There
And this I was in my glitzy gown. I had to get up so early. It was so cold. It was horrendous.
I feel like we do need to, like, at some point you need to recreate, but as glitzy, like throwing at everyone the paper.
No, I had to like go up to the door and shove the whole thing in, and it was a whole thing. I mean, I don't recommend it, but you know what? It helped me develop the tenacity and the life skills because it was either like, baby, it's grim up north. It was where I grew up, and there's some wonderful, lovely people, but I had no friends. And so that's why I was so obsessed with like the Spice Girls, and in my bedroom, and I just used to read loads and music, and that was I was my own friend.
But in a way, had you not been through that again and like felt so isolated, maybe you wouldn't have dedicated yourself to your talent, and that was your way out, as you said. So that's kind of amazing again, to take something that's so hard, especially when you're young and you're so looking for connection, and to go, okay, well, I'm here, and I am feeling like I'm on my own, so I'm gonna use that time to develop myself. Like, that's so amazing, because so many kids would never do that.
The Spice Girls really inspired me. They were like, other than posh, they were full working class girls that, Mel B was from Leeds, and like, they did it all themselves, and, they got rid of their first management and record company because they wanted them all to dress the same and sing songs written for them, and they weren't having any of that. And, they weren't either novellas. They wrote everything themselves. I know it's pop music, but I found
Even I didn't know that.
yeah, and I found them very inspiring, just being authentically themselves. And let's be honest, they're drag queens. Like, baby, they're in drag. They're in baby Spice drag, sporty Spice drag, scary Spice drag, ginger Spice drag, and posh Spice drag.
And they got the shoes. I mean, Ginger had the shoes, those drag shoes.
I mean, and they were just stars, and the self-belief that they had in themselves, in each other, the girl power of it all, which I really resonated with because it was all the abuse was from mainly men my whole life, and boys, and and the shame that I always had thrown my way about being effeminate and all of those things. So I was like, yes, the girls, yes, sir. And the music was great. It's great. Like, everyone's still obsessed. Everyone still loves. Everyone's always waiting to see them get back. And they are the biggest selling girl band in the world still to this day. And I remember they released the first single, And
Does it want to be? No.
it wanna be, yeah. And I remember having like arguments with like an uncle who was like, "Oh, the shit, they're not gonna do anything in the world." I was like, "They're gonna be the biggest girl band in the world. Just you wait and see." And I said the same thing about Lady Gaga, where I heard one song and I went, "She's gonna be the biggest pop star in the world." And I would have like, discussions with people who didn't believe me, but I have an ear for music, and I always know when something's gonna be number one. And I believed in those girls from the start.
You need to get down the betting shop,
I
guys.
love being right. But yeah, no,
Okay, so interesting, and I feel like I'm switching it now and I'm interviewing you. This is all my use as a radio DJ. I'm like, so interesting though, because like we talked about Louise and Spice Girls. Your
and I've met
first,
all of them now.
you just met all of them, but your first song that you released was a cover, but you went a different direction and you went ZZ Top, which is interesting because you would have thought maybe you might have gone like full pop direction. So like what made you go in that direction and go ZZ Top, which I love, obviously. I'm obsessed with ZZ Top, and I thought your cover was freaking amazing.
Well, it wasn't a cover. It was
Okay.
because I did so much to it. I used the melody.
So technically,
Technically, it was counted as a remix, so I had to get permission from the writers of the song themselves. Because if it's a cover, you can just get like, the rights very easily and put it all out. But if you do too much to it, you have to get permission from the writers.
Yeah.
Writers were ZZ Top themselves. So I had to get a music lawyer and get permission, and they loved it, which is just amazing. But what happened was, many, many years in music as a DJ, as a singer, as a dancer, as a performer, a choreographer, all those things. My music has always, always been my life. It's why I moved down to London to be a musician. My taste evolved and changed. I started listening to different things. And yeah, it just grew and sort of like matured. And so I still love pop music, but Lady Gaga made me cooler. Having cooler friends with very good taste in music.
so basically, it's all
You
my
have
fault. It's
great-
all my fault.
Great taste in music, as does your husband. And knocking about in Camden and things like that. I just, yeah.
So do you feel like ever at some point, like for Little You might do like a remix or a cover of one of the songs that was when you were a kid, was the kind of, or are you so evolved now from that you don't really need to feel
evolved.
there?
Yeah, maybe. I've done like in my cabaret act.
Right, when are we getting naked? That's what I want to know.
I've covered I did like a jazz cover of Say I'll Be There, like in my cabaret show and things like that. But I'm very much in my writing original music era now, which I'm really loving, and I'm really proud of myself because I have realized that I do have the ear for it, and I'm really picky. Sorry, producers. But I have taste, which is a gift and a curse because I know what I should sound like.
Well, you being as a DJ, because I was a DJ, obviously I was a radio DJ, but I was also DJing. And as a DJ, you have to start really listening and breaking down. So I found when I used to listen to music, it was very much kind of as a whole. You were listening to it and it was like you got the vibe and you got the feeling and you're listening to the melody, the lyrics. And then when you start, because you're trying to mix and you're trying to, really listen to like break it down to like beats and, when the instruction ends, you breaking it down and you start listening to it more as its parts, you do get a much more analytic ear, I think.
You do.
And you can use that when you're creating as well, because you understand the ingredients and the components that come together to make that gorgeous whole. That seems so effortless.
It's not effortless. I would say it's so exciting though, and learning so much, and I'm just really, really enjoying the journey. And it might take a little bit longer for me to be happy with the finished project. So be patient. Not me telling people to be patient because I have none. But I'm, Gaga was like, Mayhem is like shaping up to be my favorite album ever. And she was like, I produced and I reproduced and I reproduced and I reproduced until I was happy with it. And I was like, yeah.
So what's interesting, because you're like you said, you're in your era of original music, and for my show, I've been writing music, and this is the first time I've really done that. And I wasn't planning to actually. My original plan was I'll write the script, and I'm working with my best friend Phoebe, who's an incredible director, and we work collaboratively on a lot of film and theatre projects we've done. And the plan was to get a composer in to do the songs. And as I was kind of working on the script, these songs just kept coming into my head, and I was like, is it just me, or are these quite good? are these like decent songs? And they're quite catchy and they're quite earwormy.
Yeah.
And so I just started doing it. I started voice noting it, and I'm really lucky because I'm working with this amazing arranger, and he's phenomenal. And he comes down and I basically sing them and do the melody and lyrics.
And you're singing them?
No, I'm not. Oh, no, God, I would not do that to anyone's ears. I sing them like
To give
into the voice notes.
Yeah.
We will get some performers to do it. But for now, and then he, plays on the piano and he'll be doing all the instrumentation. So it's a real collab in that way. But working with him, he is so experienced. He knows he's an incredible musician and he's got all the music theory.
Yeah.
So often when I'm with him, I'll be going, and then it goes like this, and he'll go, "You sure? Because that's like a key change or something, And I go, "Yeah, no, that's definitely what happens." And he goes, "Well, because normally a key change would denote this." And I'm like, "No, it's definitely right like that." And we had a really nice conversation where he was basically like, it's almost like when you know too much, it keeps you restrained in a certain way, right? Because like that shouldn't work. When you're coming into something fresh and really like, just doing it from an intuitive place, it gives you an amazing freedom. And listen, it may turn out that we put on the stage and everyone's like, what the frick is she doing, right? But I feel like this massive freedom that you can only really get the first time you do things.
Yeah.
And then the second time, and I've seen this with writing, I've seen this with my films, the more you do something, the more you start to have these little shortcuts of what does and doesn't work, and you get more restricted in terms of your creativity in some ways. So I'm loving this phase right now of like, I have no rules. I don't know what I'm really doing, but I'm having so much fun with it.
Yeah.
And I hope it's going to be really, really good. And I hope you're having that similar kind of fun and freedom as well with your work right now.
Do you know what I am? And it's like the melodies has been the thing because I've written for my whole life, and I might have some writing of mine archived in the British Library. Thank you. But like so the song lyrics, great. The vibe, great, all of that sort of stuff. But when the melodies come to me, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. And then I hear certain things, I'm like, okay, well, I want this to happen. And like I say, I want this instrument there, and like can make it synthy. And then I just have so many references of music, the things to pull upon. And then also understanding my voice as a singer is what has really led me to this like sort of vibe. Like I'm very like dad rock kind of suits my voice.
Yeah.
Like I'm country one. Me too. Like the Eagles and things like that, and but then marrying that with some faggotry and some like dancey beats and making it like camper and a bit more glam rocky and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really, really fun, and I just love the nerdiness of it. And
I have to do this thing now where when a melody comes to me and I start to, it starts to earworm me.
yeah.
I have to voice note it and send it to a few friends and go, does this already exist as a song? Because I'm like, am I magpieing this from somewhere? Because I've listened to so much music in my life. And I have to make sure that I get feedback from at least quite a few people, at least a little handful of people who really listen to a lot of music to go, no, never heard that melody before. Because I'm like thinking, where did it come from? Where did it come from?
I listened to Diane Warren talk about this, and there was an app that you can put melodies through to see if it's, copyright. And she said, it is like a gift from a higher source. And it's like there's certain things that just do come like, and I'm sure it's, a wealth of experience and music and knowledge and things like that and stuff like that. But it's so cool. I just like love creating so much. It's just so
it's the nature nurture thing, isn't it? And for me anyway, I come from a really musical family, and my grandmother, my Safta, she was an incredible pianist. And
so are you.
No, she was a concerto pianist. She studied in Vienna. She was amazing. She opened up a conservatoire for musicians, and her whole life was, piano and music. And I remember being a little child, and me and my sister would be in her house, in her flat actually, and we'd be in her flat, and she'd just say, okay, lie on the ground, and we'd lie on the ground and close our eyes, and she would just make up, and she would just start playing this beautiful classical piano, and she'd start telling us a story about fairies and goblins and ogres, and we would so first we'd just dream, and then we'd start to dance around and kind of play around, and sometimes she'd tell us the story and sometimes she'd just play the music and then ask us what we imagined. And it really imprinted upon me on such a young age. And I do think those kind of early musical experiences, whether it's you listening endlessly to like Spice Girls because that was your respite from the world, or me with my grandma, they sink into you in your bones. So and they come back and they kind of those ripples echo later in life in some way. So yeah. Echo.
Music has always been there. Like my granddad played Frank Sinatra constantly. My nana played Doris Day and Elvis Presley. My mum played Cher. My love of Cher is the biggest gift that my mum gave me. And so it's just always been there. And the thing that's, I guess, stopped me, shame from making my own music now, that was one thing, but also not playing an instrument. And I think when you grow up working class, you don't realize that there's many other ways of doing things. You know, sometimes you're boxed in by like, this is the way that things are done, and someone else has to like manage you, or you don't realize that I had the vernacular all along to do it and to tell other people to work alongside. And I'm learning guitar, I'm learning ukulele, but I don't know that I actually need to. I'm already doing the most. And I cannot,
I think with instruments, I think so now that I'm composing, you can, if you work with a great person like this arranger and an MD that I'm working with, who's phenomenal, if you work with someone else who's got that incredible, can play every instrument under the sun, can write music beautifully. I mean, I play piano. I've played piano my whole life. I play guitar, but I cannot read a note of music. So how do I play by memory, I play by heart, I play by just winging it. And improv, I read guitar music because it's just the letters, and I translate that into piano music, and then I can play that way. So I found my way of doing it. But I think in terms of writing, you don't need to. I think for me with an instrument, it's really if that instrument should never be like a tool for something. So if you're not feeling it, if you're not like drawn to it, for me, when I'm like, I have a busy life, I have 2 kids, I have work I do, I have, we all have busy lives, right? But I feel like overwhelmed and stressed like everyone. And for me, it's my place of peace. So when I sit down at the piano, I've got a keyboard and I sit and I play, that's my moment of calm. And that's when I go to another place and I really it's like my therapy, it's like my meditation, it's all those things. And I think if that's not bringing you that joy, if there's something else that's your peace, that's your meditation, maybe it's yoga, maybe it's dancing, if that's your thing.
Real Housewives of Beverly Hills gives me that.
I mean, there you go. I feel like, like learning an instrument to write, you don't need to do that anymore. You've got it. You've got the melodies, you've got the lyrics, you've got the musicality. You know what you're hearing, you know what you're doing. It should be.
Do you know what I don't have?
What don't you have? Oh, you don't have something. I don't believe you don't have anything. I don't believe it.
No,
no. Surprise me.
I want a band. I want a full band.
There you go. Then you've got all your instruments. You don't need to do it yourself.
Exactly. I want
your voice is your instrument, babe.
Exactly.
There you go.
I want a really cool, like hot, queer. They're going to be Australian because I'm moving to Adelaide.
Well, you can find expats too. You never know. You can have a mix.
Hey, we can have a mix.
A mix of national. You never know.
I mean, I do say that I'm British, but after the, but not the Brexit of it all, but
but Aussie bands are great. I mean, some of my favourite bands are Aussie.
There's loads of awesome expats out there, but I just, in my head, I'm imagining all these like really groovy, long hair, like surfy, awesome, like.
This is a calling card then moment. This is like band auditions. Coming to you soon. Yeah. Sign up.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I could talk about music for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Eagles are my favorite band at the moment. Just obsessed.
You know when you texted me and you were like, I'm having an Eagles moment. I was like, okay, here we go, strap in. And I was like texting you all kinds of stuff. Then I told my husband, who's an even bigger Eagles fan than me, and he was like, right, I'm getting involved, and he's texting you, and he's going, listen to this one, make time for that, don't forget this. And then we were like, and don't forget Joe Walsh, solo work, go down that route. Also check out his brick wall suit, iconic look.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun.
The award show, was it the MTV Awards?
Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe it was the induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay, yes. Cher only just got inducted.
That's late.
It's just wild.
But yeah, I love that when someone you know, when it's whether it's me and your music that I've discovered through you, or vice versa. But when someone says I'm into this and it's someone that you love, like the excitement you feel.
Yeah.
And then I passed it on to my husband, and he was getting involved, and we were just all like fangirling over the Eagles, and we'll continue to do so for a lifetime. Let's be honest.
I love discovering new artists, and that's
I
why
mean, we can't call the Eagles new artists, right?
they are to me. I'd heard a couple of things, obviously, like Hotel California, and
The classic.
but I hadn't heard like
Deep dive.
the deep dive, like this.
You need to deep dive.
So good. Have you heard Lady? Because I've been pushing Lady Gaga on you for years. And
I feel like
never-
this is going to be our big breakup.
But have you heard her new music?
I haven't.
Okay, well, after this, I need to play because she's gone really grungy and like metally, but still like pop and like beat is really good.
You know, I tried to get on the Lady Gaga train. I came to a gig with you, and I was like,
Did you see her sing with the Rolling Stones and with AC/DC?
Yes, I have. I have full respect. What an amazing musician. What a talent. It's just not as Dama Suzuki said from Cannes.
She's
She's not. It's not my tea.
It's not your tea.
It's not my tea. I love it when he
I
said
think you'll like Disease. It's really well.
that. Okay, maybe it'll be my coffee.
And me.
I'll give it a go. Another one for you. I'll give it another.
Oh. Oh, I love you so
I
much.
love you too. Thank you for having me on your pod.
When did you be? Move your hair out the way so you can see your gorgeous, gorgeous face.
I should have done on that side. I've got no hair at all.
You are such a queen. You're such an ally.
Says you.
So honoured to be your bestie. And I'm just so proud of you, all that you do, all who you are.
Ditto,
And,
darling. Ditto.
I love you. Lots of love. Be kind to yourself and each other. Listen to the Eagles. Get Baboo for your little ones. Get it for yourself. And what was the last message in Baboo that I just loved? It was, so if you ever worry that you don't look the same as Thingy Majiggity or old what's her name, remember that whether you're pink, green, or blue, there is nothing more special than just being you. Bye. I love you.